Listen up or run for cover. Dropping knowledge from the people who have it to the people who need it. The real Brad Lee is dropping
What it is, Brad Lee back again with another episode of Dropping Bombs. Today in the studio, folks, I've got a real treat for you. If you've been living under a rock, you might not have heard of this individual, but if you've, been out and about and you pay attention at all, then you know James Lawrence, the Iron Cowboy. Welcome, James.
Hey, what's up, Bradley? Thank you.
Man, I'm flattered you took the time to come in here. I bet you your schedule's a bit grueling.
Yeah, we're on a wicked tight schedule, especially today. I'm speaking here in hot Las Vegas, World Gyms convention, and then I am headed to Los Angeles to fly to Nadi, Fiji, to take on the new release of the Eco Challenge.
The old Eco Challenge. Now, folks, let me just fill you in on who James is. Now, James did the 50-50-50, which before that you did the 30 record-breaking thing, didn't you?
Yep.
And then you did the 50?
Correct.
Now, 50 Ironmans in 50 days in a row.
Consecutive.
So
one in every state.
So you had to basically swim, 2.5 miles, basically?
2.4.
2.4 miles, then jump on a bike and ride it for 112, then get off the bike and jog or run a marathon, basically.
Saunter.
26.2 miles. Now, was there a time limit or no?
Yeah, in traditional Ironman races, you want to, stay within 17 hours. And so that's kind of the time cutoff. And so we averaged around 14 hours a day of activity. So yeah, swim, bike, run. The total mileage was 7,030 miles over 50 days.
Damn. And what was your purpose for that? Just to prove you could do it?
There was several reasons, motivations to do it. I was on a journey for a decade, and every time I would do a challenge, we'd raise money for charity, different charities. And I've got 5 kids, and I saw Jamie Oliver production on TED Talks where he was talking about sugar and the amount of how it's contributing to the childhood obesity epidemic. And I was active in my kids' school system, and I was seeing that, man, this is a huge problem, and I want to try to help continue to raise awareness for the Jamie Oliver Foundation. And I was like, okay, my next challenge coming off of the 30 Ironmans in a year world record, I was like, okay, that was tough, but what's the hardest thing I can think of? And it ended up being that the 50 started to get developed, and we started to put that concept together, and ultimately, I said, I want to find out, what do I do when I reach those, my mental and physical limits? What do I do when I'm in that darkest, hellish spot? What's the next move, right? What do I do? How do I react? Yeah. And I got to find out.
Now, there's a documentary on Netflix.
Yeah, so cool. It just came out about a month ago, and the response has been, crazy cool. It's hard for me to watch because it's like PTSD type stuff, because it was so traumatic, and the documentary obviously focuses on a lot of the struggles and some of the negative stuff that was happening to us and adversity that we had to face. So it's a tough watch for me, but the feedback has been unbelievable. And just recently, I got a message on Instagram from Cyborg, and I was like, holy cow! Like you watched the documentary? She's like, I loved it, and I really associated with the kind of bullying that you were getting on social media. She goes, I deal with a lot of that. And so I was like, holy cow, this is affecting like one of the toughest, baddest chicks on the planet. And so it's just really humbling to see who the documentary is reaching and impacting. So it's kind of a really cool message for everybody.
Well, from what I've been told, because I haven't got a chance to see it yet, but I'm going to go home tonight and rent that bitch. You had like nerves popping out of your foot. Like you were basically being told by doctors, you're going to die if you continue this nonsense.
Yeah, we were told beforehand we were going to die, and so I always joke, and I always say the first thing I did was I stopped talking to doctors. But the truth is, I was always under a good care. I had a great team around me, but it was interesting. Like, they were concerned based on their experience, but they weren't inside of me and experiencing and feeling what I did. They didn't have the experience leading up to what I did, and so That's the beauty. That's the beauty about life is like you gain knowledge through experience, and nobody else has your experience or knowledge. And so it's very hard to judge someone else's what they're doing and how they're doing it, because they're not in those shoes.
Yeah.
And they're not feeling what we're feeling. And so my wife and I mean, early on I said, hey, my wife's name is Sunny, and we do these kind of big things together. And the kids and Sunny were out there with me the whole time. And we sat down early on and I said, hey, Sunny, let me know when it's past the point of where you feel comfortable. And I will defer to you 1,000%. If you say we're pulling the plug, we're pulling the plug. And she's been asked 1,000 times, and her answer is always, I was never close. Like, we were in complete control the whole time, and it was absolutely uncomfortable for me watching him go through that. But I knew he was capable. I know what his experience was, and I was never worried.
So what was your why, though? Like, what other than raising money for charity, like you put up with some serious pain and discomfort.
Yeah, you know, you're familiar with 2008 and what happened with the economy and everything. And I used to own a mortgage company, and we lost that. And we, like many Americans, we went through it, and they took everything away from us. And when, you know, a lot of people go out and they want to, you know, the counsel is go chase your dreams, do big things, and quit everything and go all in and do that. And I'm a big advocate of going all in, but the number one rule I have is don't quit your day job. You've got to provide, especially if you have a family, you've got to provide the basic needs for your family, and then chase your dreams on, well, you're burning the candle on both ends and make it work. Like that's what it means to go all in after you're taking care of your needs. And when we lost everything in the economy, that rule goes out the door. I had nothing to quit. I'd been kicked out of like life. And so Sonny and I, we sat down and we were like, let's chase a dream. Let's do this. Let's try to build our small coaching business that we had, and let's try to develop this, and let's go out and push boundaries. We know we can do things. And we just sat down and we said, let's not compare ourselves against anybody else. Let's go and do what we think is possible. And that's what put us on this journey, is we were forced to take a risk that wasn't a risk because we didn't have anything to lose.
So, folks, if you're paying attention, let me drop a bomb on that one right there. But if you're paying close attention, it sounds like when the shit hit the fan and the economy took a dump and basically you had nothing, you said, I might as well do this now. What if that didn't happen? Do you think you'd have done it?
You know, I don't. And I'm so grateful. You know, it's crazy. You think the worst times in your life are terrible. And I look back and I'm so grateful for the crash. I'm so grateful because it brought Sonny and I and our family closer together. It was one of those pivot points in your life that you didn't know was an absolute until it happened. And then looking back on it, you go, where would I be had that not happened? Good or bad, right?
Yeah.
And you know, Sonny and I are super positive people, and we try to look at the best in everything. And we did. We both stood up and bounded together and said, we're going to fight. We're not going to let this define us. And this is a unique opportunity for us. And I know people that are still trying to recover from the economy. And you know, Sonny and I have got our lives back. And so your original question was, what was the why? And the why truly was, like, they took my home away from me. Like, that's a moment, right? And so one of my biggest whys was, I'm going to create something that'll allow me to get my home back, and then they'll never take it away from me again. And so that's a pretty big why when you've got a wife and 5 kids, and at one point you were on the street and looking around for where do we go? I can't afford rent or anything like that. Like I don't have it.
Yeah, but nobody pays you to do an Ironman, do they?
No, but that's the vision, right? And so being a business person and an entrepreneur, I started a small coaching business based on our experience. And I thought, okay, do these big challenges and we'll start to build our coaching business and brand it and help other people achieve their version of tough. Well, through this journey that we were on, and as things escalated and got bigger and bigger, it's turned into a brand. And we have, you know, coaching and races and nutrition and a book and the documentary and a race series and sponsors. And I mean, it's a lot of fun.
Was that part of the plan though? Did you guys think, okay, we'll have supplements and we'll have all this, you know, momentum behind us?
No, the plan literally was raise money for charity, test my physical and mental limits, and build a coaching brand. And from there, as things progressed, I'm a firm believer of, where you're trying to get, the destination, what you're trying to do. Be open on how you're going to get to that point. And I've been really open to what we're doing, and all of these doors have opened up, and now we've got this very successful brand, and I now employ and bless people's lives. And I can't tell you the feeling coming off a stage doing a presentation, and somebody comes up to you that I have no idea, I've never met them, I don't know their story, and they come up to me and they go, "Thank you, you just changed my life." There's no word in the English dictionary to describe that feeling.
Yeah.
And so that's now my why. Like, people are like, why do you travel around the world and speak and whatnot? It's like, you're away from your family. I'm like, that person that says that to me.
Yeah.
That's meaningful.
Well, and you probably put a lot more stock into it, because like when people say that to me, because believe it or not, I've been on stage, people come up, or DM me later, and they're like, "You changed my life." And I'm like thinking to myself, all I said was brush your teeth.
Yeah, I know.
Like, it's like that changed your entire life. And then I started to realize that like what we, I don't know if you learned it or you were taught it. I don't know how I know it, but like, I'm one of those guys that don't quit. I would definitely quit the 50-50-50. Like, I would have quit that. Like, dude, I get a freaking sprained toe and I'm watching movies.
I'm out.
Yeah, I'm done. Pain, for some reason, in my head is why. Like, to me, I go to the gym over here. My buddies are all working out. They got the braces on. They got the straps on. They got all these things going on. They see me. I'm going kind of light, right, doing my thing. They're like, "Hey, you need to throw some weight on that." And I'm like, "Well, if I do that, my arm will start hurting." And then they're like, "Well, of course. Then you just put on one of these." And I'm like, "Dude,
Seems like a lot of work."
Well, not only that, but to me, I'm just a common sense dude. If your body hurts, it's way of telling you, stop whatever it is you're doing. It's like a dummy light in a car.
Well, here's what's super interesting about that, and almost why what I do now is addictive, because when you only can grow and have more difficult, challenging situations through experience, right? And so now I've done the hardest thing I can think of. And people are freaking out about this 420-mile eco race in Fiji, and I'm like, hot damn, this is gonna be a lot of fun. I only have to do it for 10 days, right? And so I think people need to get way outside their comfort zone and do their version of whatever they think is hard for their experience in their life, because now things will become easier and you get to enjoy an experience. I'm going to go have one hell of a good time with my buddies in Fiji in the middle of the jungle trekking, 2 hours of sleep a night. And I'm like, it's 10 days. So what? Let's go have fun. Yeah. And so it just allows you to change your perspective on what you're doing when you've done something so difficult. People that aren't intentionally becoming uncomfortable are missing the point of why we're here to experience.
Well said. I try to preach that all the time. When you go to the gym, if you're not sore the next day, you didn't do it right. Agree or disagree? Your muscles aren't going to grow unless you tear them down. Absolutely.
Our coaching philosophy is to soar high. Stress, optimize, adapt, and recover. And all of those are important. You have to stress in an optimal situation so that your body can adapt only through recovery.
Yeah, and during your 50-50-50, your body actually got stronger and stronger.
Well, and that's the most amazing part, is through all of these challenges that we've done, and I've learned it, and you see progression through stress, adaptation, and recovery. And you get stronger. But everybody quits way before that. Everybody quits when it's the hardest. And it's beyond that hardest that you see magic happen, where the mind, the body, the spirit, the soul, it all comes together. My last 20 Ironmans, those were my easiest.
Yeah.
Because we had it down. My body adapted. It craved. It said, I'm waking up. I'm doing an Ironman today. And when I went to bed that night, it's like, I got to get him ready to do an Ironman tomorrow. This is my new normal.
Now, don't you think that's just like miraculous? Like, I don't know what your faith is, but like the human body is unbelievable.
It is unbelievable. When you combine the human body and the mind, you literally, with discipline and sacrifice and all those things that go into it, you can accomplish whatever you want. I mean, we're not walking through a wall. I get that. That's science. But like, people are looking around, and I think I said this already, but people are looking around and comparing themselves against other people.
Yeah. Instead of preparing themselves.
Right. And preparing themselves and giving whatever their goal is respect, but going out and actually achieving what you think is believable, because we look around and we limit ourselves to what the human body is possible. And it's just like the Roger Bannister and all these, the 4-minute mile and all these. I'd like to think I'm one of those guys that has opened up the lid to what the body and mind is possible of doing. Because before this, the number wasn't 50. And, people do these small incremental ones. And now three or four other people have attempted the 50 since I did it. Nobody
They
was
quit?
even, yeah, of course.
See, a sane person would quit, they say. A sane person. You seem sane to me.
No, I am totally sane.
The difference is your perspective. See, people
Possibly.
always look at what I'm doing. They're like, dude, how'd you become so successful? Other friends of mine are like, dude, you're fucking up $1 billion opportunity. Mm-hmm. I'm in the same exact situation.
Yeah.
These people think I'm winning. These people think I'm losing. Who's right?
Yeah.
It's perspective.
Everything's about perspective and experience.
Yeah, and you proved that it can be done. And now watch. Someone will do 51. It may not be for a while, but the 4-minute mile, everyone said it couldn't be done until the dude did it.
Yeah.
So it's like everyone told you it couldn't. This is never real, and now you made it real, which now lets somebody, and they may not even be born yet, but somebody believe. It might be 100 years from now. Someone will say James Lawrence did 50. So it's possible. And as soon as that sparks a belief in somebody's mind, as long as they got the rest of it, man, they can do it.
Yeah, it'll take the perfect storm. It'll take the right person. I believe way more than 50 is possible.
Are you gonna do like 100 now?
I've been asked that question a lot. And the honest to truth answer is I believe I could do 100 based on experience and knowledge now, but it would take a big dollar amount.
Yeah, someone would have to step up.
Yeah, there would be a special dollar amount involved in that process.
Earlier, you didn't even want to do 75 hard.
Yeah, Andy Frizzell is 75 hard. Dude,
that would be easy for you to do, by the way.
It would be, and I'm not disrespecting anybody that's doing.
Well, nobody's the Iron Cowboy. It's hard as hell for a normal person to do.
I'm as normal as they come. Trust me. Anything to do. Here's the reality. Anything done 75 consecutive days is hard. I don't care what it is you're doing. But that's the key, is doing a lot of little things consistently over a long period of time. That's how you succeed. That's how you develop habits. That's how it becomes routine, so that it becomes inherent in what you're doing. And over time, you develop all these incredible habits and you've become this masterful human being. And Andy's 75 Hard is a great way for people to understand and learn, all I have to do is show up tomorrow and do this and I'll make it through it. But what people do is they're like 75 days. Day one sucked. There's no way I can do it. Forget 75 days. Show up tomorrow. Execute today. That should be your only goal. That's fun.
Those are bombs dropping. So most of the people that listen to my podcast, number one, some of them like it just because it's entertaining, but most of them are listening because they're out there struggling. They're wanting to develop or succeed or build a business, or have a business. What would you tell? See, when I think of a triathlon, you got to swim 2.4 miles, then you got to bike 112 miles, then you got to run 26.2 miles. And it's all laid out. Like you just do that, you just do that, you just do that.
Yep.
But when you're building a business, it's not laid out like that. Like, who knows if you have to swim? Who knows if there's alligators? Who knows if you're going to freaking run through a thing of jellyfish? By the way, did you?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, like, if you get stung by jellyfish and shit like that, it's just, hey, keep going.
Yeah, you deal with it.
So you got nerve hanging out your feet.
You just pull it off your face and throw it to the side.
Keep going.
Just keep going. Yeah.
But if I wanted to go try to do it, I know there's the route.
Yeah.
When it comes to building a business, there's always not a clear path. What would you say to those people?
Yeah. So the best example I have of that is putting together the 50 logistically was a business. Like, to do that is, people see the physical, mental feat. Take a step back and let's look at this thing logistically. Coordinating 50 states, that's 50 huge events that you're putting on in 50 days. Try to put on one event, right?
Yeah.
So
my question before you even say that, when I knew you were coming in, I said, how in the hell do you get all those events scheduled and executed in 50 consecutive days. Like I was saying the same thing. Like to me, I was like, how'd you do that?
Yeah. So in order to raise money for, like, to do an official Iron, there's not even 50 real full Ironman events in the US. So we had to create and put on 50 events. So that now adds to the complexity of this journey. So to your original question is, you just start. You know, our goal was 50 Ironmans in 50 days. I don't know the US. I'm Canadian. Like Mississippi, I don't know anything about Mississippi. Nothing.
What do you know now?
I don't remember anything about Mississippi. I know very little about the U.S. because I was checked out. But the reality is,
don't worry, we don't know much about Mississippi either.
Okay, good. The reality is you just have to show up because you don't know who's going to present themselves in your life along the journey as you start to put this together. You just have to go with blind faith and just grind every single day and work on what you know today. I just read a great book and it's called The One Thing. And that's what people don't do is they focus on the 500 things they have to do. They get overwhelmed and they crawl into a hole. Well, that's the worst thing you can do. Go look at your list. I got a piece of paper in my hand, but you can't see it. Look at your list and go down that and go, oh, that's the most important thing. I'm going to do that today, right? And that's going to lead to the next most important thing. And before you know it, you're going down the list and a door opens and that person now presents himself to you because you're ready for that person to be involved in the journey. And so for me, I was like, okay, I don't know anybody in the US. I'm going to put out on my little social media feed. This is what I'm doing. I put it out in the space. Anybody want to help me in any state, I'll talk to you. And slowly I started to talk to people in every single state and they became our ambassadors. Now more people showed up. Now I'm having to work with 2 to 3 people in each state, so 150 people, figuring out who those are, what their skills are, what their tasks are, how they can help, all trying to convince them to do it on volunteer. Had to do sponsors, web design. I didn't know how to do any of this stuff. And just, I knew what I knew, and I started to surround myself with experts. We can't be experts at everything we're doing, so put yourself and people on your team that can help bridge that gap. Learn from them as they're doing and helping you out. And then all of a sudden now you've got a team. And now you're grinding and doing it. And you're like, holy crap, I'm doing my business. Right? But people are just like, oh, I don't know how to do that. I'm not going to do it. I'm overwhelmed. I'm going to go put my head in the sand over there and I'm done. That's the worst thing you can do.
Folks, pay attention. If you want to start a business and you want to get going, what you basically just said is just get going and shit reveals itself. Obstacles included. Like, hey, there's an obstacle, there's a challenge, it's almost, I look at challenges like puzzles.
Learning opportunities.
Yeah, like for some reason I think something's broken, and thank God it is, because again, dropped out of school, the whole, I wasn't poor and didn't freaking, walk to school with nothing to eat and all that shit. We were decent. But I always just say, what's the worst thing that can happen? And I go and I continue to go, and it always seems to work out. Now, again, 50, I guarantee I would have quit, but my why may not have been there. Like to me,
for sure.
Well, to me, it's like, dude.
Well, your 50s, you have done your 50. It's different than mine. We're sitting in wherever we are right now in Vegas, and I would look at your journey and be like, I don't know how to build this size of a business. I don't know how to do any of that, but I know how to do what I did. You've done your 50. It was different.
Well, in Ironman's, I'm only on, 13. I'm going to 52.
There you go.
Yeah, because my whole goal is to be a billionaire. Number one, I think, millionaire is easy now. Hectomillionaire is even harder. But I want to be a billionaire because that's the new millionaire. And everyone always says, what's my why? My why is so I can give people money. A lot of it. I don't need $1 billion to live. Once you have 100 million invested at an average of 10, 15% a year, you're done. You don't need any more.
Yeah.
No matter who you are. But I want to give it out because everyone's around with some quick advice. Not many are around with a check. What would you rather have when you were losing your house? Some good old solid advice, or would you rather me saved your house?
God, that's a hard question. I've had this conversation with my wife a lot, and it would
not looking back though, because you may not have done this if your house was saved.
Okay, in the moment, save my house. Long-term benefit to me, give me the tools and allow me to have an experience.
Yeah. But hey, and believe me, I agree with that. Like my kids, a lot of people say, how come you don't give them all this? Well, listen, pain and discomfort is growth. If you are provided for in such a way, I think you're ruining your kid personally. Yeah. My wife, every morning I'm waking up, I see Cocoa Krispies and Lucky Charms for my 2 daughters. I'm like, babe, she's a little bit younger. I mean, what does a 15-year-old know? No, just joking. But seriously, dude, Cocoa Krispies and freaking Lucky Charms every single morning, is that good for your kid or bad for your kid?
Bad.
And we know this, and there's people listening going, that's what I do. And why do we do it? I'll tell you why she does it, which again, I'm working with her. She's the one doing the work. But why do we do that? Because it's easy. Because it's convenient, because it takes time to get out a pan and cook some food and da-da-da-da-da. And what do? We rationalize with ourselves and tell you we don't have time. We rationalize is where I'm going. So why do you think people rationalize, and what do you do with your coaching clients to get them to stop rationalizing?
I'm pretty bold with my clients. And what's great about the standard that I've set for myself is they almost self-regulate themselves through example, and they know I won't tolerate an excuse, and so it actually works out to be a great working relationship, because I've actually fired some clients because they just don't do the work and they come up with excuses, and I'm like, well, we're not a great fit for each other. You know, you've always heard the thing when the student is ready, the teacher appears, and I'm a huge advocate of I'm not going to convince you to be a different person. I'm going to live my life by example. And when you're ready to make a change in your life, let's talk. Let's have a conversation. I'm not going to beg you to change. I'll give you tools, and you're going to show me that you're ready and willing to step up to the plate and do what it takes. And that's who I want to work with. I want to work with people that are motivated, wanting to change. I'm tired of babysitting. I'm tired of trying to convince. I'm trying to do whatever. You want to make a change in your life? Great. Let's do it. I'll help you.
If somebody out there is listening, he basically said, when you're ready, he'll help you. How do they find you?
Yeah, IronCowboy.com will lead you to anywhere that you want to go. And I'm most active on Instagram, and that's Iron Cowboy James. That's where we post any future challenges we have coming up, any cool releases that we do. We're working on, Iron Grit, which is the mental side of stuff. We've got the coaching side. We've got really challenging race series in Utah called Utah's Toughest. We have a lot of stuff going on, which is exactly, it's just turned out to be a lot of fun. I'm loving being an entrepreneur. And it's just, we never thought that I never thought I'd be sitting here really, doing this kind of stuff. It's been a trip, dude.
Well, it's been a long time goal of yours to be on Dropping Bombs, so I'm happy.
It is, yeah. Today was a life realizing moment. Thank you.
Hey, I'm happy to help make that come true. Yeah. So in Utah, these events, you put them on?
Yeah. So we've got a race called the Utah's Toughest, and basically, I did a race series in Europe, and it was the Norseman, the Celtman, the Swissman, these really tough challenges, full distance, but up in the mountains. Very cold swims, challenging hilly bikes with lots of elevation, and then trail runs on mountain that finish really high in elevation. And I looked around at my home, and I was like, I live in exactly that place. I could put on one of the hardest races in the world. And so we put together the Utah's Toughest, and last year we did the race, and we had 6 people finish, and I loved it.
Is it annual?
Yeah, it's annual. It's going to be in
every single year.
Every single year. So August 1st.
So if people think they're badasses, they
come to Utah.
Come to Utah and enter that event.
Yeah, absolutely. Dude,
I can't imagine how tough that event, because you're probably trying to make it tough where nobody finishes. That's your goal.
Well, I mean, I want people to finish and have but here's the reality. This race is my gift back to people, because I want them to experience something really challenging, because I know that's the magical place. I know that on the other side of that, you're going to be a better person. And so the race series was really, I wanted people to experience the joy that I experienced in suffering because of the net benefit and result.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted. I want to give people that opportunity, because they're not doing it themselves.
Yeah. Well, believe it or not, I don't think a lot of people know how.
They don't.
And even if they did, they're not willing to. I want to crack that mystery. Why, when it's not that difficult? Now, again,
fear.
fear. Why do people fear discomfort? Like, why would I fear going to try to break your 50-50-50? Because I don't want the pain. Why is that? When we know that pain, that discomfort is what makes the growth.
Because we are most happy being comfortable, but we're never just standing still. We're either moving forward or moving backwards, and you can only move forward by being uncomfortable. So the longer we're standing still in comfort, we're slipping. You're uncomfortable, and it's going to be uncomfortable getting to $1 billion.
Yeah.
But
it's hard as hell too. And I just turned 50. I'm thinking, damn, 100 million ain't that bad.
It isn't, man. I wish.
See, but I already put it out there.
Yeah.
And now, unless I die, I'm going for it.
I think that's the thing, is you got to put it out there, and then you got to start putting people on your team that believe in you. And that creates accountability, right? People assume, oh, you love waking up at 4:30 in the morning and going to the gym and working out. Hell no, I hate it. But I know my two buddies are going to be there. And so I get up and I drag myself there, and then I'm always glad that I did. The hardest, here's the thing, here's the reality. The hardest part for these people is getting started. Once they get started, they're going to realize, oh, this is actually pretty awesome. You know, like I went and did a 32-mile trail run race in the mountains. It had 12,000 feet of gain. And I was like, I do not want to do this. But I was doing it to support one of my coaches, and I showed up. And she was so excited that we were there, and that we actually had an amazing day. And I just thought to myself after that, man, I would have regretted not having this experience today. And I was so glad that I went and did it, and we suffered, and we laughed, and we cried, and we had an amazing day. And I wouldn't have had any of those experiences had I decided to stay home and be comfortable.
Yeah, so what caused you to be this way? Upbringing? Did you learn it? Did you bump your head one time?
My mom always jokes and says that she dropped me on my head when I was, a baby. But, I grew up in a great home. My dad was a blue-collar firefighter. My mom was a kind of a in-the-clouds dreamer. And I watched both of those, and I was like, man, you're working really hard for not much. And you're dreaming, and you're just dreaming. And I said, well, what if I took a dreaming attitude and applied hard work? What would that look like? And I think that's how I try to live my life, and just seek adventure. I don't have a set agenda, and I just allow opportunity to happen. I grew up as a wrestler, and I think that was the initial kind of cultivation of being mentally tough, doing hard things, and seeing growth through that process.
Yeah, that's like when I first started sports, it was swimming.
Yep. Which is a very, very tough individual sport.
Well, I mean, it was easy. It was easy for me. Swimming's easy.
Yeah. That's the number one reason why people don't do an Ironman.
Here's a funny story. The swimming,
it scares the hell out of people.
Well, here's a funny story, and it's a fact. I think 6 years old, maybe 5. We have a gym in town. It was the Bohemia swim team. You can look them up. They're famous in Oregon for like winning a lot of, championships and whatnot. So anyway, 5 years old, maybe 6 years old, my dad puts me in swimming. I go down, there's a entry-level league called Guppies. So I get put into the Guppies. First meet that I went to, I won the race so handily. I like that word. So handily, I was disqualified.
No.
That's
At 6?
That's what we said. We're like, what are you talking about? And this is the only sporting event my dad ever went to, by the way. My dad was one of those guys that worked hard his whole life, never went anywhere, which is what, now again, people confuse what I say sometimes. I'm like, hard work's not the answer. Okay. My dad worked his ass off. The military, people in the military worked their asses off. Farm laborers, they work their ass off and they don't get anywhere. So hard work is not the only thing.
Yeah, it's not.
Like you said, your dad was working hard. Your mom was a dreamer. You put them together and there was a magic. But at the end of the day, hard work is not the answer. I'm not saying it's not needed. I'm saying it's not the answer because I know a lot of people that worked hard.
Discipline and sacrifice are different than hard work.
Ooh, there's another one. So my dad shows up to one event. I swim so fast compared to these other kids that they disqualified me, saying he shouldn't be in this league. Like, he's too fast for this league. It was my first time, and I was faster than hell, and I handily beat everybody in it. They disqualified me, legit. They disqualified me. My dad got pissed. He left. Never came to another sporting event, but I continued to swim. But that's my first swimming experience. What lesson would you take from that?
Humans are dumb.
Well, yeah, but like I'm trying to find a lesson because
I don't know that there is one. Okay, here's one. Don't allow somebody else's opinion of your talent derail you from your objective.
now we're talking.
Right? Because you could have been like, oh, man, that
I should slow down.
I should slow down. I should quit. Again, it goes back to comparing yourself against other people's current standard, right?
Yep.
You could have gone there and went, oh, man, I should slow down. I'm good enough. Or quit altogether because that guy's an idiot, right?
Yeah.
Instead, you went on. You probably won a bunch of championships and was a badass.
No.
Oh, dang it.
I quit
Okay.
eventually,
No, you
but
did.
but I beat everyone's ass for a while, and I was an excellent swimmer, and I did win a bunch of meets and medals and whatnot. But nothing. Again, my parenting was not that good. I ran a 4.40. People don't believe that. Yes, I did. In football, quit football because they said something or did something pissed me off. My dad didn't give a shit what I quit. Like I just had zero parenting. I probably would have been an athlete for sure, but I was very good at a few things. Wrestling is what brought this whole thing up. Wrestling, I go out my first time wrestling. Other than swimming, wrestling was second. I'm in school. I walk out. First of all, they make you wear those freaking onesies or singlets. They make you wear those, which I just did not like at all. So I walk out anyway.
But you're okay in a Speedo.
I was damn good in a Speedo.
Because there's a huge difference between those
Yeah.
two.
Well, there is.
Okay.
Well, not anymore. Now they're about the same.
Okay.
But for some reason, man, the singlet, everyone made fun of us that we were wearing singlets. Who knew that the wrestlers were going to be the badasses?
Right.
If I'd have known that, see, this is the point. Like if I would have known, if I would have had a parent that just made me, whether I knew it or not, or just guided me, and I would have stuck to things, I don't know where I'd be right now. I definitely wouldn't be here, I'm sure.
One of the best books is The Subtle Art.
Of not giving a fuck.
Yes. And that if people could live their lives that way, because that's what you weren't doing. You were caring about what other people thought that influenced you on your journey.
100%.
100%. And
Well, that's not what made me quit wrestling, though. What made me
I
quit
know.
wrestling is some dude
but you
got
did
me in a
mention that.
headlock.
You alluded to it.
Yeah, but some dude got me in a headlock. That was one of the reasons. Like I didn't like the singlets.
Yeah.
But then I'm out there for my first date. Some dude got me in a headlock. He was the only kid at the time that had hair
I
under
was
his
just going to
armpit.
say he's got pubes under his arms.
Yes, he did. And it was sweaty.
Yeah.
And he literally kept my face in his armpit, like, where I couldn't get away. So I found this energy in me to throw his ass off me, like completely off me.
Your why was his armpit hair.
It was disgusting.
Yeah.
I got up, walked off, and quit the team. Now, again, this shows you a couple of things. Number one, you can quit and still win because I've won. I just didn't win in wrestling.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, how many things have you started that you ended up not finishing, and now you're you? Like, did you ever not finish something? Do you think it's possible to stop doing one thing and end up successful in another?
Yeah, everybody always asks me what's next, and when they ask that question, they're asking me what's next in terms of physical and mental suffering.
Yeah.
And I always say, dude, what's next for me can be in a different category, and it's my speaking career, and it's my coaching, and it's being an entrepreneur. And what's next doesn't always have to be in the same category. And I haven't experienced a lot of failures in my life, and it's because I put a heavy emphasis on preparation, and I won't do it unless I know I'm ready. And what most people do is they disrespect the goal, and your result is a direct correlation to the amount of preparation that you put into it. When somebody fails, I always go, okay, let's look past, let's look in the past, and let's look at your preparation. I guarantee you I can pinpoint 10 different reasons why you failed. And it always has to do with disrespecting the process that leads up to a big goal.
Powerful. See, folks, if you're listening to this, man, he's giving you the freaking literal outlines. How come people try to make things so complicated?
I don't know.
It's really not that.
I'm always shocked when somebody wants me on a podcast or in this, because our family, we just went out and we did it. And I honestly, I don't know where it came from or how we developed it, but I know it's through experiences. But I always, Sonny and I always say, it was like, man, we literally take for granted the things that we know. And it's through experience and growth that we've had. And we're grateful for Not failures, because you asked the question if I failed, and I'm sure I have, but I don't look at them as failures. I look at them as learning opportunities and pivot points.
Yeah, pivot points.
And so, because there's such a negative connotation with failure, and maybe that's just my perception of the way that I'm looking at it. But I rarely fail because I prepare, and I show up when I'm ready, and then I don't look for excuses to abandon the journey or quit.
Yeah, I like what you said where you say you won't tolerate excuses. Now, I have a saying, I don't know if it's mine, but now it is because I just said it.
Yes.
But my saying is you get what you tolerate.
Yeah, for sure.
So if you literally understand how simple that is, quit making rocket science out of it. I won't tolerate X. Well, then you won't. If that's the truth, then you won't have X because you only get what you tolerate. You won't tolerate excuses, which is why you don't have any. And it's why you won't allow any, which is you just made a decision, right? I'm not going to tolerate excuses. So therefore you won't accept them. So they eliminate themselves. And pretty soon it's like, dude, I don't deal with excuses.
Yeah. And the other thing I hate about excuses is rationalization, meaning you get yourself in a situation where you have put on 50 pounds or you quit a journey that you were on, and then you find a justification or a reason for why that happened and lie to yourself about why it's okay that you're in that situation that you're in. And so it's the justification on top of the excuse that frustrates me more than anything else.
Yeah. And people do that a lot.
It's the MO of most people.
You know what I always say? The problem with most people is most people.
Yeah. My wife says, man, common sense just isn't so common.
Dude, I'm telling you, it sounds like you got a winner in the wife. When'd you meet her?
We are going on 19 years of marriage, 5 kids, and I married way up.
Wow, man. That's almost a feat nowadays too, is it not?
I joke on stage all the time that I think my most impressive thing is being married for 19 years because it is so common nowadays. Now, fighting for something that has value.
Now, were you just lucky, raised right? Like a lot of people think they're going to get married forever and they don't because in my opinion, same thing. Like, did you just get lucky? There was no fights, or you guys were taught well, or how do you keep a 19-year marriage together?
Yeah, I think it's the same way with parenting and kids. All of it takes work. And a couple of the key things that we do is support, love each other, and sacrifice. Communicate at a high level, and it works out. Like people are like, what's your parenting style? I'm like, well, I allow my kids to fail. I love them. I execute natural. I've never grounded one of my kids. I execute natural consequences, and we communicate at a high level.
What do you mean by that?
Which part?
Natural consequences.
So. It's funny to me when like a parent gets like super pissed off because the kid did something and then they ground them and take something away, and that doesn't solve the problem. The kid just finds a way around it. So like my daughter got a speeding ticket, and I could have been like, "You're dumb. You're grounded. Can't drive the car for 2 weeks." Well, that's a disservice to me. She runs errands and she picks up the other kids, and I'm like, okay, so what's the natural consequence? Okay, insurance is going to go up. You're going to have to pay for that. You got to pay the ticket. You got to pay for that. And she goes, well, I want to fight the ticket. I said, oh, no. Okay, great. You can go to court and you can fight the ticket. These are all natural processes of her action, right? What's the point of me getting all pissed off, taking her car away? Now she can't get where she needs to go. And that's not a great punishment. Punishment is the natural consequence, meaning there's a financial responsibility. You've got to figure that out. And now you got to go to court and fight it.
What if she did drugs?
What if she did drugs? There's a natural consequence to that. And I can't control.
But what if that natural consequence you are not okay with? Like, and I'm not talking about, hey, I tried a joint or something, but you walk in the bedroom, she's about ready to inject heroin or some heavy duty crap. Like, you wouldn't freak out and do something?
Well, getting mad at that and freaking out doesn't help the situation. Obviously, I'm going to do everything in my power to help her and save her. The natural consequence of that is you got to go to drug rehab. I will physically take the drugs out of my home and do everything I can. And now it's the point where you communicate with them.
Yeah.
And you talk about, well, okay, what are the natural consequences of doing drugs? What's that's going to do to your body? What's that's going to do to your mind? Communication and education are one of the highest, most powerful things that you can do. And that's what a lot of people aren't doing. They freak out. They get mad at the kid. They violently could do something. They disrespect them and tell them they're idiots and all these things. That's only going to push them further away and probably more into a drug problem, right? Instead, support them, give them the tools they need. The natural consequence is seeking support and help for the problem, right? It's not getting mad and yelling. And me getting mad at my kid for doing drugs is going to do what? It's going to push them away and have them not communicate with me more. What's the point? That's negative energy that's going to accomplish nothing.
Yeah, true. Now, see, you had to learn this or you were taught this, but how do you think like you think? I want to get the listeners to a point where they can start adjusting their perspective and ways of thinking. Because to me, I want to crack the code. Success isn't that hard. Like I know a Navy SEAL. He's like so impressed by what I do. And I'm like, dude, you're a Navy freaking SEAL and you're impressed by what I'm doing. He's like, dude, this to me is Navy SEAL shit, this entrepreneur space. I don't know how to make a bunch of money. I know how to, do what I do. But if you really think about it, most people, when it comes to making money, act like it's doing 50, 50, 50. It's not that hard to make money. You find problems, right, that people are having and you solve them. And then you charge more to solve than it cost you to do it. And now you have a business.
I think the internet has caused a huge problem and a huge blessing for everybody. It's a tremendous resource, but there's so much bad information out there that we're tapping into. And here's the thing nowadays, and which is why I love the internet, is it eliminates all excuses on how to do anything. There's a bazillion how-tos. If I don't know how to change my transmission on my car, I could literally go to YouTube and do it. And if somebody says, I don't have enough money to go to this Ivy League school, forget it. Go online and take a free course. That's the first step to doing it. And then, like you said, you can start generating. The people that are saying that are just excuses. And one of the hardest things for me to do is to put into terms how to do what we do. That's been the hardest thing for me to try to figure out how to articulate it. And just like you was trying to figure out how to articulate, what is the 10 step, the steps to making $1 billion? What are the 10 steps to becoming a mental giant? What are the 10? It's very, very hard to put that out. And it's because everybody's experience is unique and different. There is no 10 steps. It's a matter of somebody choosing to get up and engage in an activity that sparks growth towards an end result. And that's what people aren't willing to do. They're not willing to start because of their perception of what it's going to feel like. It was interesting. I had a conversation with a girl the other day, and we isolated it down to one, she was scared of starting, but ultimately it came down to she was scared of what happens when she's successful.
I've heard that before.
Yeah, scared of success.
Now, again, some people are thinking like, who would be afraid of that? Well, dude,
it's very real.
It's very real. And it may be true why I'm not already a billionaire. Like maybe I'm actually deep down afraid of being a billionaire.
The biggest thing that I've learned traveling around 48 countries and speaking over the last 4 years is that as humans, we are our toughest critics and we will always get in our own way first. There's enough tools and resources out there to have you be the most successful person on the planet. But it's you, as an individual, that's getting in your own way. You're stopping your progress. So the first thing you need to do right now is when you wake up tomorrow is like, I'm going to do one thing. I'm going to do it well. I'm going to execute it. And that's going to build momentum. Success breeds success. Confidence breeds confidence. Keep showing up every single day until you've hit your mark.
Mm-hmm. Even if that mark is ridiculous, never going to happen. You're foolish. It's not even going to, you're crazy if you think it's going to work. How many times did you hear that doing the 50-50-50?
Every day.
How did you get, how do you drown out that negative opinion of other people?
Small wins, I think, and then just belief in yourself. And it literally takes the smallest of wins to start that process.
So getting up, let's say normally people get up at 7. They just make a small win. A small win would be, you know what? I'm going to start getting up at 6:30.
Make your bed. Have you seen that
Yeah.
speech? Make your bed.
That Admiral.
Just do that. Make your bed.
Well, that's what I was trying to do with the brush your teeth thing. And
Just brush your teeth.
And what's crazy is people said it changed their life, and I'm thinking, dude, you didn't know to brush your teeth.
Oh, dude, it's amazing. Go to a junior high school. The BO and bad breath is overwhelming. It's insane.
But dude, every day people get up and
I think that's the hardest thing about being an elementary school teacher would be bad breath,
poor hygiene.
poor hygiene.
Did you think that's parenting?
Yes, absolutely. Kids don't that's not, yes, it's absolutely parenting. Being a bad parent is the easy thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. The hardest thing to do is to be an engaged, active parent.
Well, and with success and building a business, it's the same thing. The easiest thing to do is make excuses. It's so easy to make excuses.
People are so happy being mediocre. Good for them.
If someone were to have you coach them, how many clients do you take on at a time?
So right now I'm super busy with the speaking. I have 2 coaches and myself that we do all of the coaching, so the one-on-one Ironman coaching. And so right now we only take on about 20.
Is it just for Ironmans?
Right now it is, and we're developing the general fitness side of stuff, because I've also learned that going around, like, people, the first step in their journey isn't an Ironman, and we really got to bridge that gap. And so the next thing we're releasing is like, hey, I'm off the couch, I'm lost in life, and I need to just move, and we're going to help people do that. That's going to be an online type thing, so we'll have a lot of clients that way. And then I've also realized that people are stuck, whether you're a janitor, a mom, a CEO or whatnot. Again, we're getting in our own way, and it's all in the headspace. And that's what we've been working on the last couple of years, is really trying to bring out the knowledge and experience that we have to be able to help individuals kind of go through that process. What are the small things that we take for granted doing? Brushing your teeth. Hey, if that's step 1 and that's what we need to start with, then that's what we need to do. And so, the one-on-one coaching is going to be very, very limited. Just because it's so tailored and it takes so much time. Our more kind of general type stuff is going to be open to more of the public.
Well, you must have a lot of corporations wanting you to come talk to their peeps.
Yeah, it's been fun. I mean, over the past couple of years, I've got to speak at Visa and Nike and Audi, and
but see, they're not
fun.
Yeah, but they're not wanting you to talk so people can do an Ironman. They want their people to adopt your mindset. You should have a mindset coach or a mindset course that teaches people how to have and adopt the mindset you have. Because you're obviously don't quit.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
Yeah.
Those companies that have you speak, that's what they're looking for. They want their executives, their employees, their people to adopt your mindset.
Yeah.
Has nothing to do with fitness.
No, zero. I've learned that my story isn't about triathlon. It's about how we executed what we did that translates into every category. I had corporations contact me and they're like, "Hey, what's your topic?" And they're like, "What are your 4 pillars?" And I'm like, "Dude, trust me, I'm just going to come tell my story and it'll impact every member of your audience." I said, if I come in there with a canned 4 pillars, I'm going to miss half your audience. But I guarantee you let me share an emotional journey, I'm going to hit every member of your audience, because they're all on their very own unique journeys. It was interesting. I went and spoke at a small event of high-level executives. There was about 15 guys in the room. I told my story, gave my presentation, gave insight. We did a powerful question and answer session. And then I left, and my wife and I, we went home. And he sent me a message the day after, and he goes, "The craziest thing happened." He goes, "After you left, I had the group break off into separate rooms, into privacy, and then write down what they got out of the session. And then we came back and we discussed what it was." And he goes, "It completely shocked me. Not one person had the same takeaway." And I said, "That's amazing. I did my job." I said, "That's the point." I said, "In a room that I go into, every member that's in that room is going to get something, because they're on their own unique journey, and everybody's heart is different. They're going to pull a different part of our decade worth journey."
Do you have the same talk, or do you go out and same topic, but or is it, in other words, there's keynote speakers out there that every pause is the same, every joke is the same, every opening and every close is the same, or there's speakers like, I'll say, Gary V, who they go out there, they know what they're going to talk about, but it's just it's a new talk every single time. Which one of those are you?
So I'm a hybrid of both. And right now, people are just craving that story of how we did it. And so I have a presentation that I do that takes you through the journey of what we were on, the emotional journey. Because I've done it where I've tried to change it a little bit, and people are like, no. We want to know that story right now. And then I've had other events where they were like, okay, this is kind of what we want you to cover. And it's more of an intimate setting and one. But when it's like a big stage, they really want the story as it was. And so I can do both, but the phase of where I'm right now, I'm telling the story. Yeah.
So in the next, let's say 3 to 5 minutes, is it possible to give a truncated version of that story?
People.
Have you ever tried?
Yeah.
See, there's a challenge.
And
I know you have to accept challenges.
I do.
Let's see you cover it in 3 to 5 minutes.
My journey?
Yeah. What you do on stage where people pay you big bucks to walk out there and tell and affect and make that impact. I want to make that impact for my listeners. But, we don't have an hour keynote, but we do have 5 minutes.
I think we just covered it over the last hour.
Yeah. But like, where's the, like, if I were listening to this, I want to know, like, what can I do tomorrow? Unless you don't have certain techniques, what can I do tomorrow other than get started?
Yeah.
Like, are there things that I can do? Like make your bed, brush your teeth, start your fitness, eat better, stop allowing your kids to have Lucky Charms, something that someone could follow. Like, I want to start building a business. Okay, good. If you want to start building a business, or I want to start working towards an Ironman. I've always thought about doing an Ironman. A long time ago, I had a buddy. We were selling cars. I don't know. I was maybe 25. He said, "Let's do an Ironman." And I said, "Yeah, let's do it." And that I think it was that weekend. He said, "Come on, let's go jogging." I'm busy. I want to go to the lake. I pussed out. I didn't puss out. I just wasn't interested.
Sure.
And that dude, and he was kind of fat too. That dude trained his ass off and actually did an Ironman. Won. And he was last, but he did it. He freaking did it. How do you train for an Ironman?
So back to the original question first. The problem with people that are going to wake up tomorrow, they don't have a destination. And so the first thing that anybody has to do is to figure out where they're trying to go and what they're trying to do. So you can spin your wheels all day, and I can try to come up with a list, and you can try to come up with a to-dos. But if you don't know where you're going, how do you even start that list, right? Mm-hmm. And so people need to sit down, take a step back, and just go, okay, I'm running all over the place as fast as I can. I'm running into walls and other people. Where am I actually trying to go, and what am I trying to do?
Huge.
And it's the book. It starts with why, right? Like, I listen to a lot of audiobooks because I'm up in the mountains doing a lot of things, and I just try to open my mind up with knowledge. And it starts with why is a valuable principle, because if you don't know why or where you're going or what the end destination is, how do you even start? And I think that's what people are. Is they're just lost. And so I would say the first thing for someone to do tomorrow and to get going and change their life is to step back and go, okay, what do I really want to do? What am I trying to accomplish? Who am I trying to impact? What does that look like? Now let's reverse engineer that, which takes us to your question. How do you prepare for an Ironman? You have to know first you want to do an Ironman, right? And if that's the goal, great, that's my goal. I'm going to take that goal and I'm going to put it over here on the shelf because I know that's the goal. Now I'm going to reverse engineer it to the very first thing I have to do. And if I don't know how to do that, the first thing you have to do is sit down on a computer and say, how do I train for an Ironman? Put that in the search engine. Hire a coach. Surround yourself with good people. Go to YouTube. Search free videos. You have to start educating yourself on what the first steps are. And then really go buy a pair of sneakers. Like that's the first thing you got to do. A pair of sneakers and a goggles.
By the way, if I were to buy running sneakers, what are the best pair out there? You'd got to know that.
I do, and it's Ultra. I did, all my world records in these. I had no.
Do you have your own shoe?
Planners. I don't.
See, you should.
Maybe.
So the Ultra sneaker?
ALTRA. They're run specific. Tons of toe box room, 0 drop. They make a casual shoe. These are them right here.
ALTRA.
ALTRA.
See, you probably just got them a big old bump in sales.
I don't know.
Well, dude, I would have thought Nike, Adidas, New Balance, even though I make fun of New Balance.
Yeah.
I've never even heard of Ultra.
Yeah, they're very run specific. Have you ever heard? Yeah, so they came into the space. It was actually a friend of ours in Utah that started the company. And then they've grown and grown. Vanity Fair just bought them, so they're part of that umbrella now.
Nice.
But it's a run-specific shoe that is just kind of taking over the space. They're really, really great shoes.
What kind of bike do you got?
Fazari.
Fazari.
Yeah.
That's like a Ferrari for bikes.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, no, it's again, I love to support local around our place, and Fazari was a local brand that is now getting much bigger too. But they make a killer bike. Like, I rode my mountain bike up to the top of Mount Kilimanjaro in Africa and did it on a Fazari. I took 3 Fazari bikes out on the 50 thinking I was going to need them all. I rode one bike 80-90% of the time, only took it into the shop once to get the cables redone. I mean, these bikes are just they're winning awards all over the place for the new designs that they're having. They just released this coolest road bike ever, 100%. You can't even see a cable, fully integrated. They're the only company that's figured out how to do one-piece carbon, disc brakes. I mean, I just went over 54 miles an hour without even trying on it down the hill. Totally stable. It was awesome.
Man, but these guys owe you some money just for mentioning it. And then so Ultra Sneakers, Fazari bikes, swimming. What is it? Goggles?
Blue 70.
Blue 70 what?
Blue 70, that's the brand. So they make wetsuits, goggles, all the swim stuff I need.
Now these 3 now give you these products, don't they?
Yeah, they might.
Yeah, and they should.
Well, here's the thing: is I started out as nobody, and early on, those are the products that I used, and I eventually reached out to the companies and I said, look, I'm probably loyal to a fault, and I use your products, and I'm wondering if you guys can support me. And early on, that's how I started my sponsorship relationships. Is I reached out to companies that I believed in and used their products, and I said, I'm not going to sell out. I'm not going to do these other things. I'm not going to go with these other companies. I want to partner with you guys because I use your stuff because it's good. And we've had a relationship now for almost a decade with these companies.
Which is again goes back to your no excuses. Like somebody would have said, dude, I can't afford one of those bikes. You went and freaking made a deal with them.
Yeah.
So you couldn't afford the bikes when you started?
No.
Oh yeah, you were freaking getting pummeled by the deal. And you just said when I started I was nobody. I would argue that. The reason why is because I think you were always somebody, just nobody knew who you were. Nobody knew the somebody. Because I don't think you became somebody. I think you became known. Somebody became known.
I still think I'm just James, the father and husband. I've been told that this is the greatest endurance feat in history that nobody knows about.
Well, it's good. That's going to change. I'm going to get my listeners to go listen to your Netflix. Folks, listen, he's got to go or I'd keep asking him questions. You know, your Netflix, go watch. People, pay attention.
Just search Iron Cowboy.
Iron Cowboy, you can't miss it. Your book cover is unbelievable. That freaking makes you look like a badass right there. How many takes did they? Did they get you all scowling? Is that touched up? Because
it's not touched up. That was the actual photo shoot that we did with Success Magazine. Did an article on us right after the 50. And
but did they tell you to look all freaking Vogue and shit?
No, they just said do your badass face, and that was it.
Folks, Iron Cowboy, Redefine Impossible.
You can grab it on Amazon, or if you go to my site ironcowboy.com, I'll do a signed copy for you.
Oh, nice. And then what about the nutrition? I heard you mention nutrition.
That's also available on our site. We just released a new hydration formula. We're the only hydration product out there that has a U.S. patent, and it's called Speed Sauce. And so it's great for endurance racing or just general hydration because, I mean, a lot of people are walking around, especially Vegas, a lot of people are walking around dehydrated, electrolytes are out of balance, all these different things. Your bodies aren't firing the way they're supposed to do. So Speed Sauce is a really cool product that we developed with a doctor, U.S. patent on it. That's also available on Amazon or on my website, ironcowboy.com.
Ironcowboy.com. James, I appreciate you coming in here. I appreciate, what you stand for, who you are, what you've accomplished, and how many people are going to be impacted by watching your story.
Awesome, man. Thanks, Bradley.
Bomb Squad, pay attention. Go support this cat. Get his nutrition. Get his freaking book for sure, and go watch his Netflix. If you guys are ballsy enough, he's even willing to coach you to go do your own thing. Go out, share this podcast, rate and review it. Until next time, keep it real.